Hello, ARMY. What if one birthday message was powerful enough to make Jungkook break down? Last night, Tim posted a few simple words for JHope, but those words triggered a reaction no one saw coming. Within minutes, ARMY noticed something strange. Jungkook's response wasn't just supportive, it was emotional. Fans started connecting the dots, and what they found sent shockwaves through the fandom. Was this just a birthday wish, or was something much deeper being revealed? Stay with us because what happened next changed everything. The moment Taehyung's message went live, everything shifted. It wasn't long, it wasn't flashy, but it carried a weight that felt heavier than any carefully written tribute. The words were soft, almost fragile, yet they landed like a storm across the fandom. JHope's birthday suddenly became something more than a celebration. It became a mirror reflecting emotions no one was ready to face. Within minutes, fans noticed Jungkook, not because he posted something loud, not because he tried to steal attention, but because he didn't. His silence was louder than any caption. When he finally reacted, it wasn't the usual cheerful emoji or playful comment. It was a quiet, almost restrained response, short, careful, and strangely emotional. The kind of reply that feels like it was written with trembling fingers. Music, ARMY began to dissect every letter, every pause, every timing. Something about it didn't feel casual. It felt music, personal. And that's where the tension began. People started comparing timestamps, Taehyung's post, Jungkook's reaction, the subtle changes in their online behavior. Screenshots spread like wildfire. Music threads exploded. One question echoed everywhere. Why did Taehyung's message to JHope affect Jungkook this much? Some fans believed it was just nostalgia. Three artists who had been through everything together, feeling the weight of time. Others weren't so sure. They pointed out how Taehyung's words weren't just kind. They were intimate in a way that felt layered. Like a private memory slipped into a public post, and Jungkook saw it. You could tell because after his initial reaction, he disappeared. No stories, no extra comments. No usual late-night check-ins. It was like he stepped back into the shadows, leaving ARMY staring at an unfinished sentence. Then hours later, something even stranger happened. JHope finally replied. His response was warm, grateful, and full of love. But right at the end, he added a line that no one expected. A line that subtly referenced those who understand without needing to speak. It was vague, but fans immediately connected it to what had already happened between Taehyung and Jungkook. Three people, one birthday, and suddenly, a story that felt far deeper than anyone had imagined. Was this just an emotional coincidence? Or was Taehyung's message carrying something that only Jungkook truly understood? As ARMY dug deeper, old clips resurfaced. Past moments, music, side glances, conversations that once seemed harmless now felt loaded with meaning. The narrative was shifting, and it wasn't comfortable anymore. It was tense, raw, almost dangerous in how much it exposed. And Jungkook, he still hadn't said anything more. That silence was no longer calm. It was heavy. Because when someone feels something they're not ready to explain, silence becomes their shield. And whatever Taehyung wrote for JHope that day, it cracked something inside Jungkook that the world wasn't meant to see. But the story wasn't over yet. Not even close. The next morning, the tension didn't fade. It multiplied. What had started as a single birthday message now felt like a quiet earthquake, shaking everything beneath the surface. Fans woke up expecting things to return to normal. Instead, they were met with something far more unsettling. Jungkook finally came back online, but he didn't post what people expected. An oh cheerful greeting, an oh celebration, an oh mention of JHope's birthday at all. Instead, he shared a short, almost cryptic line about memories that don't age the way people think they do. It was poetic, but it was also heavy. Too heavy for a random update. ARMY immediately knew this wasn't just a mood. This was a response to Taehyung. Within minutes, Taehyung noticed. He didn't reply directly. He never does when things get complicated, but he changed his profile status. A small detail most people would ignore. except this time it was impossible to miss. The words he chose mirrored Jungkook's post in a way that felt deliberate, like two people having a conversation in front of millions without saying each other's names. And JHope, he went silent again. That silence was different from Jungkook's. It wasn't emotional. It was careful, as if he could sense that something had shifted and he didn't want to be the one to break it. Now the story had turned. It was no longer just about a birthday. It was about what had been unsaid for too long. Fans began digging into the past, not out of malice, but out of instinct. Old interviews, old behind-the-scenes moments, old live streams where Taehyung and Jungkook exchanged looks that lasted just a second too long. Pieces that once felt random now formed a pattern that was impossible to ignore. And suddenly, Taehyung's birthday message to JHope didn't feel like it was meant for JHope alone. It felt like it was meant for someone who would read between the lines. Jungkook did. That's why his reaction wasn't loud. That's why it wasn't playful. That's why it hurt. Because when a message is written with layered meaning, the person who understands it most is the one who feels it the deepest. Then came the moment that pushed everything over the edge. A fan spotted a private playlist update from Jungkook. One new song, a title about remembering someone you never really lost, but never really had either. The timing was too perfect, the meaning too sharp, the coincidence too cruel to ignore. ARMY went quiet. This wasn't speculation anymore. This was emotional evidence. Taehyung, on the other hand, posted nothing. And somehow that was worse, because when Taehyung stays silent after saying something powerful, it usually means he knows exactly what he did, what he unlocked, what he stirred inside someone else. JHope's birthday had become the backdrop to a story no one expected to unfold. A story of memory, emotion, and something unresolved that had survived far longer than anyone wanted to admit. And as Jungkook's last post lingered on screens around the world, one truth became impossible to escape. Taehyung's message wasn't just a birthday wish. It was a reminder, and Jungkook wasn't ready to face what it reminded him of. By the third day, the fandom wasn't buzzing anymore. It was holding its breath. Everything had slowed down. No sudden updates, no quick reactions, just an uneasy stillness that felt far more dangerous than noise. When emotions run this deep, music, silence isn't peace. It's pressure. And pressure always looks for a way out. Jungkook broke it first. Late at night when most of the world was asleep, he posted a single photo. Not a selfie, not a studio shot, just a blurry image of city lights taken through a window. The caption was one sentence. Some feelings don't disappear just because you stop talking about them. It hit like a confession. ARMY didn't need context. The timing was enough. Everyone knew exactly what it was connected to. Music, Taehyung's words. JHope's birthday. The invisible thread that had been tightening ever since. Within minutes, Taehyung saw it. This time, he didn't hide behind cryptic status updates. He responded with a post of his own. No names. No explanations. Just a line that felt like it was aimed straight at one person. Some people remember too much even when they pretend they don't. 2 sentences. 2 hearts. One conversation happening in public, and JHope was standing right in the middle of it. Fans noticed that he hadn't liked either post. Not Jungkook's, not Taehyung's. For someone who usually supports everything his members do, that absence felt deliberate, almost protective, as if he didn't want to step into something that had suddenly become too personal. Because now it was clear this wasn't about the past. This was about what still hadn't healed. People started arguing online. Some said it was just artists being emotional. Others insisted there was something unresolved between Taehyung and Jungkook that had never been closed properly. Screenshots, old lyrics, old interviews flooded timelines. Every small detail was pulled apart, searching for meaning. And in the middle of all of it, Jungkook did something no one expected. He deleted his post. Not immediately, not quickly, but after enough people had seen it to make it impossible to forget. That act alone changed everything. Because deleting something emotional doesn't erase it. It confirms that Taehyung's post stayed up. That was another message. And suddenly, the story took a darker turn. What if Taehyung wasn't trying to hurt Jungkook, but was trying to be honest? What if that birthday message to JHope wasn't just gratitude, but a reminder of something the three of them once shared? Something that couldn't be neatly separated anymore. Jungkook's silence returned heavier than before. And no more posts, no more clues, just the echo of what he had already said. As ARMY waited for something, anything to break the tension, one thought began to take shape. Whatever Taehyung unlocked with that birthday message, it wasn't done unfolding yet. And when it finally did, someone was going to be forced to face the truth they had been avoiding all along. The fourth day felt different. Not loud, not chaotic, just heavy, like everyone was waiting for something to finally break. JHope was the first one to move. Early in the morning, he posted a simple thank you message to fans. It was warm, gentle, exactly what you would expect from him. But what caught everyone's attention was what he didn't say. No mention of Taehyung's emotional birthday message. No reference to Jungkook's cryptic posts. It was as if he was carefully stepping around something fragile on the floor, afraid that even a word might shatter it. That avoidance spoke volumes. Meanwhile, Jungkook stayed invisible. No updates, no interactions, no signs of where he was emotionally. For someone who usually lets little pieces of himself slip out online, that kind of silence felt like a door slammed shut. Fans could sense it. Whatever he was dealing with wasn't something he could joke about or soften with music or emojis. Then in the afternoon, Taehyung did something unexpected. He went live. No dramatic announcement, no warning, just suddenly there. He didn't talk about birthdays. He didn't mention Jungkook. He didn't explain anything. He just played music. But the songs he chose told a story all on their own. Slow, aching melodies, lyrics about distance, about loving someone from the wrong side of time, about saying too much and not enough at the same time. Every track felt like a quiet confession disguised as art. ARMY felt it, and so did Jungkook, because halfway through the live, he joined. Not on camera, not in voice, just a small comment in the chat. Some songs never stop hurting. The room froze. Taehyung's hands paused over the playlist. For a second that felt like a lifetime, nothing moved. Then he simply replied with one word. True. That was it. No names, no drama, no confrontation. But it was more intense than any argument. JHope didn't join. He didn't comment. He didn't react. And that absence suddenly felt like the loudest thing of all. Because when three people share something deep and only two are speaking, the silence of the third becomes its own kind of truth. After the live ended, Taehyung didn't post again. Jungkook didn't either. But the damage, or maybe the honesty, was already out there. Fans replayed the moment over and over, analyzing every second, every pause, every choice of song, and one realization started spreading. Taehyung's birthday message hadn't just stirred emotions. It had reopened something that was never fully closed, something that still had a heartbeat. And whatever that was, it was moving closer to the surface. That night, something shifted again. Not in public, not in posts or comments, but behind the scenes. Fans noticed it first through a detail, so small, it almost went unnoticed. Taehyung changed his profile picture. It wasn't a new photo. It was an old one. From a time when everything felt simpler. A time when smiles looked less guarded. A time when certain people stood a little closer than they do now. Jungkook saw it immediately. And this time he didn't ignore it. Instead of posting anything, he updated his own profile, too. Not with a picture, but with a single line in his bio. Some chapters never really end. The timing was too perfect. The meaning too obvious. This was no longer coincidence. Now the story had crossed into something dangerously honest. Two people speaking in symbols, because speaking directly would expose too much. And JHope, music, once again was caught in the middle. Not because he was part of the tension, but because the moment that triggered all of it had been his. A birthday, a celebration that somehow became a reckoning. ARMY began to realize something unsettling. Taehyung's message hadn't just been emotional, it had been reflective. Music, almost like he was looking backward. And Jungkook's reactions weren't just sensitive. They were wounded. Whatever they had shared in the past wasn't gone. It was dormant, waiting. Then, just when things felt like they couldn't get any more intense, Taehyung posted again that a photo not of himself, not of a celebration, but of two shadows on a wall side by side. Touching, but not quite. No caption, no explanation. Jungkook liked it within seconds, not minutes, seconds. That single action sent shockwaves through the fandom. It was the first direct, undeniable interaction since everything began. And it felt like a quiet admission, not of romance, not of secrets, but of connection, something real, something unresolved. JHope finally reacted too. He liked Taehyung's original birthday message again, as if to gently remind everyone what had started this whole storm. It felt almost like he was saying, this was never meant to hurt anyone. But by then, the story had taken on a life of its own. Because now there was no doubt. Taehyung and Jungkook were aware of each other. They were responding to each other. And whatever stood between them wasn't gone. It was just waiting to be acknowledged. And the scariest part, neither of them had spoken the truth out loud yet. But they were getting closer. Very close. The following day didn't explode. It tightened. Every move felt measured now, like everyone knew they were standing on something fragile. One wrong word could shatter it. And yet, something had to give. Jungkook was the one who finally broke the pattern. He went live and no warning, no music, no filter, just him sitting quietly, eyes tired in a way that no makeup or lighting could hide. He didn't mention Taehyung. He didn't mention JHope, but everything he said pointed straight at them. Sometimes, he began, voice low, steady but strained. You think you've moved on from something, but then one small thing brings it all back, and you realize it was never gone. You were just avoiding it. The chat exploded. He kept going. People think memories are just in your head, but some of them live in your chest. You feel them even when you don't want to. And when someone reminds you of those memories, it hurts more than you expect. This wasn't storytelling. This was confession. ARMY could feel it. Everyone could. He paused for a moment, staring at the screen like he was searching for the right words, or maybe the courage to say them. I don't blame anyone, he added softly. Sometimes someone says something beautiful, and it just hits the wrong place at the wrong time. Taehyung was watching. You could tell because less than a minute after Jungkook ended the live, Taehyung posted a story, a black screen, white text. I never meant to hurt you. No names and no context. But everyone knew exactly who it was for. JHope didn't react. And that absence now felt intentional because this wasn't a story anymore. This was between two people who were finally standing too close to something they had been running from for years. Fans held their breath. Was Jungkook going to respond? Was Taehyung going to explain? Was someone finally going to say what all these words had been circling around? Minutes passed. Nothing. And that silence after everything that had been said felt louder than any confession ever could. Whatever truth was hiding behind Taehyung's birthday message, it was now closer than ever to being revealed. The silence didn't last. It never does when emotions reach this point. Late that night, Taehyung broke it, not with words, but he shared a short clip of a song playing softly in the background. The lyrics were barely audible, but one line slipped through clearly enough to be caught. Some loves don't fade. They just learn how to hide. ARMY froze. Jungkook was online. Everyone could see it. And for a long moment, nothing happened. It felt like the entire fandom was waiting to see which way he would move. Would he ignore it? Would he let it pass like all the other near confessions before? He didn't. Jungkook posted a story of his own. A simple black screen just like Taehyung's earlier one. One sentence. Some feelings shouldn't have to hide. That was the closest they had ever come to saying it out loud. Now it was undeniable. Two people speaking an emotional code, circling something neither of them was ready to name, but neither could escape either. The tension between them wasn't manufactured. It was real. It was raw. And it had been quietly building for a long time. JHope finally stepped back in, and he posted a photo from his birthday. A warm, smiling moment with all of them together. Music. The caption was gentle, almost pleading. Whatever happens, we're still us. It felt like a bridge, a reminder, a way to pull everyone back from the edge. But even that couldn't undo what had already been revealed. Because Taehyung's message had done more than celebrate a birthday. It had opened a door.